Niccolo Machiavelli understood one thing better than most. Power is never loud. Real power moves quietly, strategically, without needing to announce itself. He believed that the more you speak, the more you expose. And exposure is vulnerability. Every word becomes a clue. Every reaction, a weakness. You don't win by being the most vocal in the room. You win by being the most observant, by listening while others reveal their intentions, by letting silence speak for you. Machiavelli didn't see silence as weakness. He saw it as a weapon. Because when you're quiet, you become unreadable. And when people can't read you, they can't control you. The world teaches you to defend yourself, to explain, to react. But Machiavelli would say, don't. Silence is strategy. Stillness is power. Let them talk. Let them posture. Let them underestimate you. You don't gain control by forcing it. You gain it by being the one who doesn't flinch, the one who doesn't need to be understood. Machiavelli wrote for rulers and realists, those who knew that appearances matter, but control is earned in private, in your discipline, in what you withhold. So the next time you want to prove something, don't. When you're tempted to respond, pause. When you're pulled into noise, stay still. Your silence will confuse them. Your restraint will disarm them. And your calm will speak louder than anything you could have said. Because in a world obsessed with being heard, the one who listens holds the advantage. Most people speak to be liked, to be accepted, to fill the silence before it reveals something real. But Machiavelli understood. Silence is not emptiness, it's control. The louder the world gets, the more valuable your quiet becomes. Because silence draws attention in a different way. It doesn't beg. It doesn't chase. It invites curiosity. And in that curiosity, you gain influence. When you speak too much, you give the game away. You reveal your insecurities, your motivations, your limits. But when you speak only when it matters, your words carry weight. Machiavelli wrote that it is much safer to be feared than loved if one cannot be both. But fear, in his world, wasn't about aggression. It was about being unreadable, unpredictable, controlled. People fear what they can't fully understand, and they respect what doesn't need to explain itself. So you don't need to show your whole hand. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to defend your value. You simply need to act with precision. And when you speak, make it count. That's how you win without raising your voice. You become the one who holds back, who listens with purpose, who moves with clarity, not emotion. Machiavelli would remind you, the person who knows more and says less holds the real power. Because while others are busy performing, you're preparing. And when the moment comes to speak or strike, you won't have to prove anything. You'll already be in position. Machiavelli believed that most people reveal themselves far too easily, not because they're honest, but because they talk too much. They think out loud, they negotiate with emotion, and they expose every move before it's made. But a strategist says little. They observe, they wait, they let others make the first mistake. You don't need to control a room with your voice. You control it with your awareness, with your restraint, with the calm that unsettles those who rely on noise. The more someone talks, the more you learn about their insecurities, their values, their fears. And while they try to prove themselves, you're collecting data. While they react, you remain centered. And in that stillness, you build leverage. Machiavelli warned that the people most eager to speak are often the least in control. Because silence requires strength. It means being comfortable, not being the center. It means valuing truth over attention. You don't need to announce your intentions. You don't need to clarify your moves. You don't need to convince anyone of who you are. You simply need to know what you're doing and do it without explanation. That is the power of quiet strategy. It doesn't beg for permission. It doesn't chase recognition. It positions itself carefully until the time is right. And when that time comes, you don't ask for power. You assume it. So hold your silence, sharpen your mind. And remember, a loud move is often a weak one. But the silent one, that's the move they never saw coming. Machiavelli understood something that still unsettles people today. You don't have to be loud to be dangerous. In fact, the most dangerous person in the room is often the quietest one. Not because they're afraid, but because they're focused. In The Prince, Machiavelli explains that those who know how to wait, who know how to observe, can control outcomes without force. They don't rush. They don't reveal. They let others overstep. This is how quiet power works. It's not reactive. It's intentional. You ruin your position by speaking too soon, by over-explaining, by trying to win people over before they've even earned your trust. Instead, let them wonder. Let them doubt. Let them project. Because while they try to interpret your silence, you're watching them uncover themselves. This isn't about manipulation, it's about discipline. It's the discipline to not always need the last word. The discipline to withhold emotion when provoked. The discipline to know that real leverage comes from patience, not performance. Machiavelli didn't praise charm, he praised clarity. And clarity doesn't always speak, it sees, it calculates, it prepares. You don't gain control by being the loudest. You gain it by being the most precise. So next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, don't. When you want to defend your actions, wait. Let your silence build tension. Let your results speak where your words never will. The strategist does not move for applause. They move for advantage. And when the world watches your every word, the smartest move may be to say nothing at all. Machiavelli understood the importance of timing. The quietest moment can often be the most powerful. In the art of strategy, it's not about what you do, but when you do it. Silence gives you the time to see the moves of others before they see yours. When you stay silent, you create space for others to reveal their true intentions. Intentions they may not even be aware of. Every word they speak, every gesture they make, gives you a glimpse into their strategy. And while they believe they're controlling the game, you're already thinking 2 steps ahead. Machiavelli teaches that in the pursuit of power, patience is as much of a weapon as action. You don't need to take every opportunity that comes your way. You don't need to respond to every challenge. Instead, you wait for the right moment, when the situation is ripe and the advantage is yours to take. Inaction is often the best action. By staying still, you give yourself time to reflect, to adapt, and to make your next move with precision. When everyone else is scrambling to make a name for themselves, to prove something, your silence sets you apart. You're not just waiting, you're preparing. Every moment of stillness is an opportunity to analyze, to plan, and to strengthen your position. As Machiavelli would advise, don't waste your energy on noise. It's not about shouting your worth. It's about proving it when the time is right. So remember, silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's the presence of strategy. When the moment comes to act, you'll be the one in control, while others are still caught in the noise. The final lesson Machiavelli imparts is this: true mastery comes from restraint, not force. The world constantly pushes us to be louder, to show more, to prove ourselves with every action. But those who understand the art of power know that often silence is the loudest weapon in the room. When you choose silence, you stand in control. You let your actions speak louder than your words ever could. The strategist isn't swayed by the noise of the world. They don't chase validation or seek approval. They trust in their ability to wait for the right moment and then strike with precision. Machiavelli's wisdom reveals that control is never about dominating the moment. It's about knowing when not to react. The master strategist stands apart from the chaos, knowing that every word, every gesture can be a calculated move. In a world of noise, your quiet power is what sets you ahead. So, the next time you're tempted to shout your worth, remember this: the true victor is the one who doesn't need to be heard, the one who moves with clarity and purpose without announcing their next step. They don't need to defend or explain themselves, they simply act, and their results speak for them. If you're ready to harness the power of silence, to master the art of restraint, and to win without ever raising your voice, then subscribe to The Wisdom Seeker today. Join a community of thinkers who understand that true power lies not in what we say, but in what we choose to hold back.